Hey, I'm gonna go shoot my bow.
Okay.
All right, let's go. Show me your mohawk. Oh yeah, I got one too. He wanted me to have one with him. You wanna show everybody your bow you have? What kind is it?
A target bow.
A target bow? Pretty cool, huh? You're pretty good with it, aren't you? You want to show everybody how good you are?
Yeah.
All right. Stand up in the grass a little bit.
I know how to do it.
Okay, I'll let you go. Oh, good shot, bud. Go get your arrow now.
Did you see that?
They saw it, yep. Alright, gonna break down my compound bow in this video and just kind of show you what everything I'm using on my compound this year. Probably my favorite bow I've ever had right here in my hands. So this is the Prime Revex 2, so it's a 32-inch axle-to-axle bow, and I always shoot you know, shorter axle-to-axle bow. I've shot you know, 32-inch axle bows. I've shot even shorter than that. I don't have a problem shooting them. I only have a 28-inch draw. Someone like Dan, he likes a longer axle bow. I think he has maybe the 4, which is the 34-inch model. But mine is actually a the Revex 2. I'm shooting 65 pounds out of it. It's a freaking sweet looking bow. I got it in this camo pattern that Prime offers, and then just some like kind of a gray color limb. I really like the looks of the bow, and then the quiver head matches it. What can I tell you about it? Man, it does shoot really good. Like I said, it is my favorite bow I've probably had to date. And a few things I did different this year. I'm shooting a 65 pound bow. This bow goes up to 65 pounds. It's all the way maxed down. I did that just to, I don't know, just to feel a little more stealthy, feel a little better about being in the woods when it's cold, when I'm at awkward angles, things like that. I never had a problem shooting 70, but over the last couple years hunting in Wisconsin in like January when it could be like negative 10 degrees out, I think this is a better option for a whitetail hunter, for me personally. Okay, my sight, I've been shooting these B3 sights. This is their hunter sight, and it's just a fixed pin 4-pin sight, real simple profile, real easy to adjust sight, nothing real fancy about it, and that's why I like it. Not a lot can go wrong with it. The rest I'm shooting is it's the Prime version of the Hamsky. It's called the Epsilon, and it's a limb driven drop away rest. And what that means is, let me take this quiver off here, I'll show you that in a second. But what that means is the actual rest itself is operated by this cord that goes down into your limb here. And there's really two options with drop aways. You can either have a limb driven like this one, or a cable driven where it's tied in the cable. Either one works. The reason I like a limb driven rest is because I can work on it, like in my truck before I go in. If something would happen to this rest and I needed to fix this cord, I could just literally take my shoestring probably and make it work if I needed to. That's an exaggeration. I carry extra D-loop material in my bow case to replace this cord if I needed to. Never really had problems with it, but it's something I thought about when I'm choosing a new rest, and I've been shooting the limb drivens for a lot of years now. I really like them. I've also shot cable driven rest and didn't have any issues with those either, but just in my mind, the limb driven thing was a little more user friendly, a little more field repairable for me, because I go on out a lot of hunts going out of state, not in an area where I have all my stuff to work on my bow, that was a good option for me. So the Prime Epsilon Rest is what I'm running there. Just got me a bee stinger stabilizer. I think this is their 8-inch model here. Nothing fancy there. I do like to have a little bit of a weight up front to help balance the bow out, and I play with this just to, this one has, you know, 3 weights on the front of it here. You can get different weights from bee stinger to put on the front of the bow. That one just works out for me on this bow. I just like it to feel good in my hands whenever when I got the bow up. I want it to just naturally just sit there level with the bubble, and I don't have to do much to hold it there. Whereas if your bow's kind of wanting to lean this way, or, you know, lean this way a little bit, that's what I don't like. I liked it to be able to just put it up there, and it kind of naturally wants to hold my hand real nice and level. I don't shoot a wrist strap or anything. I used to when I was younger. I stopped probably 10 years ago. It's just one more thing you got to kind of filter your hand through and stuff whenever you're getting ready to shoot a deer, and I just eliminated that step. Again, if you're used to it, not a big deal. Just something I decided to get rid of. Okay, that's pretty much it for the bow. I always, as usual, put a bunch of stealth strips all over my bow to keep everything nice and quiet. Anything that the arrow could hit, I take care of that with some stealth strips. My quiver, again, it's a Prime branded quiver, but I think Tight Spot makes it. So it's a I get the thing to focus. It's a Tight Spot quiver that's made by Prime. I've used Tight Spot for a long time. Actually, my other Tight Spot's right there, but real simple design. It just slips into the mount on this Prime bow, and then it makes it like a real compact little system. Whereas a lot of quivers that are mounted out here on your sight itself, you know, the quiver sticks out here, and then you got a lot larger profile. Whereas this is real nice and slim. Another nice thing about buying the Prime bow and the Prime quiver is it all integrates into the riser now, and you can see here that the quiver mount actually is in. The riser has a tapped hole for the mount to go into, and it makes it even slimmer against the bow. So I really like that this year. I usually shoot with my quiver off in the stand, and I'm thinking about changing that this year. In my Wisconsin buck last year, I had an experience where it'd been nice to have an arrow right here real quick and been able to shoot again. So I've been thinking about playing with that a little bit more. Gonna see how well that shoots with this quiver. I haven't been shooting much with the quiver on. I'm gonna start now just to see if it changes things, if it changes my tune or anything, and then go from there. The release, I've had this thing for probably 10 years as well. This is an old True Fire hardcore release. I really like the I don't like caliber releases. I like the little, I don't know what they are, the release that just has a hook style release. You can see there. I like how fast it is to go ahead and just put it on the D loop, shoot real quick, not have to try to fumble around with, you know, putting a caliper on here. I shoot a pretty standard setup when it comes to a D loop here. You can see I just got a standard D loop. I tie 2 knocking points on either side of my D loop. You can see those little yellow pieces of string in there. What that's for is, say I'm on a trip and this D loop breaks off. I'm like, ah, crap, you know, what am I going to do now? Well, all I have to do is I have those 2 knocking points tied in exactly where my arrow needs to be for a perfect tune for this bow. All I have to do is retie my D loop to this exact measurement, and I know the measurement of this D loop to make sure it's the perfect measurement, and then I just tie that back on. I'm going again and not have to change anything with my bow. I can literally break this D loop and be back hunting with this bow in a couple minutes. I am something else I changed this year. I went back to a kisser button instead of the nose button. Don't know why, just for the sake of it. I always shot a kisser button. Nothing wrong with the nose button, but just something I'm comfortable with. And last year I kind of felt a little bit lost without my old kisser button. So this year I went back to the kisser button, standard size. Gosh, I don't know what size of peep this is. Whatever size this peep is. I probably got the specs for it somewhere. I could look up. Oh, right here it is. Another tip for you: always buy an extra peep whenever I'm putting my peep on, because I have had scenarios where I've lost peeps. 3/16 peeps what I'm shooting. So that's my whole setup right there on the bow itself. So this year, arrows wise, I'm shooting these the G5 Outdoors Mark 203 arrows. They are shooting really good for me. I've been messing around with different types of fletchings for them. I had some really large flex fletch. Well, right here, they're right here actually. Flex fletch. They're like almost 4.5 inch vanes. I tinkered with those a little bit, but I finally landed on this 4 fletch of these blazer vanes. They seem to steer my arrow really well. That's something I do tinker with a lot, is my fletching configuration on my arrows. See what what my bow likes, and I thought I'd like those larger fletchings on it just to see if I liked them or not. Didn't really care for them, to be honest with you. So I'm shooting left helical 4 fletch, just white blazer vanes, and then up front here this year I'm going to shoot these 200 grain Razor broadheads out of my compound bow. I shot my Indiana buck with this head last year, and I was just really impressed with it. And I started talking to my buddy Dave, who owns Razor broadheads, and I was like, man, that was about the best blood trail I've ever had on a deer with these things. What's unique about them is they are a bit wider than what your like traditional single bevel head is, and this is a single bevel broadhead. Most of them are like 1 1/8 inch. This is actually like 1 3/8 inch cutting diameter, and it made a big difference in my book. And I got them flying really good out of my bow. Just a fair warning for you guys: if you guys go to something like this where it's a little bit bigger head, a little bit heavier weight, you got to have your bow tuned well. It takes some tinkering around to get fixed blade to fly well out of a bow. So adding 200 grains to the front versus 100, that's going to change your dynamic spine of your arrow. That may have an effect on it. If you're shooting a 300 spine arrow and you're shooting 72 pounds, you throw a 200 grain head on it, it might throw your spine into a 2 weak category, to where you may have to bump up to like a 250 spine. All things to think about if you're going to switch over to some kind of a heavier head like this Razor. What's cool about the guys from Razor, and we don't really get any kickbacks from them at all. They're just big fans of the show. In fact, Dave actually made an appearance on a Beast video a long time ago. He shot a Michigan buck, and Dan, I think Dan used some of his footage from it on some public land up there in Michigan. But anyway, Dave, if you use the code BTE at checkout on these Razor heads, you get 10% off. So they're a very high quality head. They actually spin test all of them before they ship them to you. They're made in Michigan, I believe, and it's a good company that I think it's up and coming when it comes to broadheads. I've been impressed with them so far. Okay, last thing before I let you guys go here. Something we don't talk about very much is I use a laser rangefinder. Obviously, this is a Maven CRF 1.2. It's a really nice rangefinder. It has like a 6 power in it, and it's just really robust and really substantial. I've had rangefinders, like cheaper ones, and they fall apart and they look like crap after a year of hunting with them. And this thing right here has just been rock solid. And I do something a little bit different with my rangefinder, and I actually learned this from Michael Waddell a long time ago when I was just a boy. But I run it on, this is an old, like a lantern for a grunt call, but you could use paracord wherever you wanted to. But I run it underneath my arm like this, and it's always out of the way. Let me change the angle of my camera here. So I run it under my arm just like this, and it's never in the way of anything whenever I'm getting up and about, moving around or moving in the stand. I've never had it like bang off anything. If you're worried about it, you could cover it in steel strips, which I may end up doing that. But I like it because, you know, deer's coming in, I can grab it, and I have it in a manner that it's on another, like a separate lantern here. This is actually a piece of D-loop material, but it slides real nice on this lantern. So I just bring it up, I range whatever I'm going to shoot, whether it's a tree or, you know, the actual deer itself, and I put it right back down. It's out of the way for shooting, and it just works perfect. I've been doing that probably for 15 years now. So that's what I do. I know people have commented that that's a dumb thing to do, and it's in the way, and it's going to bounce off something. It hasn't happened to me yet, and I guess once you know it's there, it's just like almost like a second hand for me, where I'm very aware of it, and I naturally you know, keep it tucked in there. That's how I run it. I like it that way. Something I'd like to do maybe in the future is get one of the bino rangefinders that are like dual purpose. I think that would be cool. I think it would eliminate a little, you know, piece of gear, and then you could just run your binos like this, and then range something, put them down. The only thing I like about an actual rangefinder itself, instead of a bino rangefinder, is the one-handed operation, which I guess you could probably use regular binos. But if you could get like regular binos in like a 7 power with a rangefinder capability, you'd have something then. Alright guys, I think that's all with my bow. If you have any questions about it, leave them in the comments. I'll try to answer them. Link in the description of those Razor broadheads if you guys are interested in getting those with the BTE code to save 10% off. See you guys on the next video. Doing some scouting this weekend, so look forward to that video. Bye.